You're listening to a DM podcast.
Welcome to Over the Back Fence. I'm Di Edwards.
I'm Nicola Dale, and we're buddies of nearly 4 decades. And yes, we actually do happen to share a back fence.
We do. We love parties, people, inspirational stories, and honestly, making the most out of life.
So join us as we open our hearts, share our stories, and hear from some of the most inspirational people in the world, and have a laugh along the way.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Hello, Diney, back at our happy place.
We are, aren't we? Studio. It's actually beautiful and sunny outside, and we're inside a dark studio with lights in our eyes.
Lights, camera action.
It's
and
true.
You know what? I'm actually in a really good mood, and the stars are
Watch
aligned.
out, world.
Yeah, watch out. I'm an
She's
Aries.
always in a bloody good
I'm a
mood.
double Aries.
Yeah.
Woo!
I've got an Aries rising.
Diney, the stars are aligning. And so who have we got today?
Oh, yes.
Tell me.
Today, look, I don't think there's anyone listening that doesn't understand A or B, appreciate star signs. Today we have best-selling author of one particular book that I really enjoy was Make It Happen, and the host of a great podcast, and Nicola, she just finished listening to it this morning.
I'm addicted
The
to it.
Lunar
I love
Lover.
it. Yes, yeah.
We have Jordanna Levin. Welcome to Over the Back Fence.
Thank
Woohoo,
you.
welcome.
She's going to take us on a fun astrological journey with her new book, All Signs Point to You. It's actually
like
a great
a
read.
Bible to me.
Yeah,
Pick
we
it
loved
up
it.
and- yeah.
It's a roadmap for navigating the maze of astrology and gives you a better understanding of yourself and the world around you. So it's like a toolkit for personal growth. Stay tuned, sit back, relax, have a cup of tea or a glass of wine, and it's powered by the wisdom of this age-old practice that we all love and know, astrology. Thanks for joining us.
Wow, what an intro. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
You're
We
a
are-
superwoman.
We have been excited for having you at the back fence,
We
Jordanna.
are.
So
I'm so
excited for
excited
coming in
to
our
be
studio.
here.
And I think there's nothing like that personal energy, because I was saying, I've been loving your podcast and kind of feel like I know you
Yeah.
because you've been speaking in my ears. And maybe some of our listeners feel that about us too. But it's just so nice, that personal connection. So tell us a little bit about you.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I always struggle with this question because
Yeah.
I wear many, many hats.
It's very broad.
Isn't
but
it?
Yeah.
I studied journalism. So I worked as a journalist for many, many, many years, and I was in food journalism. So the fact that I ended up here with an astrology podcast and 4 personal development books is weird. I was working in magazines for a really long time in the food pages. So writing about food, interviewing chefs, testing recipes in the kitchen, all of that sort of stuff.
Getting hungry now.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the downfalls
I bet.
of working in food mags. And when the magazine industry started to crumble, which it did, I moved to digital and sort of started working in the wellness space. And then I had an idea for my first book, which was Make It Happen. Pitched it to a publisher. They took it, and I was like, I think I might do this full time. And then I moved up to Byron Bay. And so I've just been up there since, writing books, working as an astrologer, and I just put out this astrology book.
Wow.
Wow.
The spirits of Byron.
All signs
Hey?
point to you. Yeah, which-
And something else that I read, that one of your first books, like mine, was Linda Goodman.
Oh, yes.
And what was it called? It was called
Sun Signs.
Sun Signs.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of the listeners now, that was their astrology Bible. Well, it was mine.
Absolutely. Still
I
is
checked up a
mine.
man. Like, I remember you saying you'd always check up a male or
Yeah,
pertaining to a
crushes.
Gemini, which you are.
Yeah.
I mean, so give us an idea around how that had an effect on you and how the sort of work you're involved in now.
Right. I mean, look, my mum was quite a spiritual person. She still is. Yeah. And so we had lots of books like that on the bookshelf. But there was something about Linda Goodman's Sun Signs where you could just flip to the sign, read about it, and feel seen in that, right? And then make judgment on everyone else when you were reading their signs too, which is fair. We all do it. I think as a kid, it really spoke to me because it was like reading about yourself. And I just thought, oh, wow, that's so interesting. And then as I got older, I'd read the horoscopes in the paper and in the magazines. And every now and then I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's true. That did happen. As I've gotten older and as I've studied astrology, I've realised, and I hope this isn't bursting anyone's bubble, but horoscopes are creative writing. They're not real astrology. But I think, I know. Oh, don't be upset.
Yeah. You think Sammy? I'm like,
So tell us
Nicola.
why, because I think some people will be going, well, hang on, I
you
read that every
burst
morning.
my bubble.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. But I like to see if I sort of think it's true or that part go, that part's true and that's not, So I like
No,
to see.
it's true. Or you go, I don't believe in astrology. Next week, oh God, I believe in astrology.
Right.
on,
If
yeah.
it suits you, you're like,
Yeah.
sure,
Totally.
I believe
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
I think, look, the thing is,
What's the difference then?
yeah, when you get into the heart of astrology, you realize that your sun sign, which is the sign we all know about ourselves, so Aries, Capricorn, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that is one tiny fraction of what we call the natal chart. And the natal chart is a snapshot of where all the planets were at the time of your birth.
Amazing.
And each planet tells you different things about yourself, right? So when you're reading the horoscopes of a sun sign, it's just such a tiny, tiny part of who you are. And if we look at collectively all the Aries and all the Capricorns in the world, the likelihood that they're all encountering the same thing on the same day at the same time is really unlikely.
Yeah, so that's it. But you know what? It's fun.
Right,
And I
I'm trying to
think,
digest that.
yeah.
Because that's a lot. I'm just going, whoa.
But the difference is, though, too, if you
Wow.
actually go and get a natal chart done, and saying that,
Yes.
what is a natal chart?
Yeah,
For
thank
listeners
you.
there going,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah.
it?
It is a snapshot of the solar system at the time of your birth. So as an astrologer, we
Don't get
need-
too technical if you can, because I get a bit lost with this.
No.
But when you say what was happening when you were born,
Yeah, so
what
where
do you mean by that?
all the planets were at the exact time of your birth. So
In relation to Earth, so to
yeah,
speak. Right.
so the sun at the moment, we are in Scorpio season. The sun is in Scorpio. The moon, I haven't looked today. The moon moves so fast. Every 2.5 days, the moon's changing signs. So wherever the moon is at the moment would be, if someone was born right now, that's what we'd say their moon sign was. The rising sign, your ascendant sign, is what was coming over the horizon at the time of your birth. So what sign was moving? Yeah, it is. And then we look at where Mercury was, we look at where Mars was, we look at where Venus was, and that starts to tell us different aspects about you for your entire life. It's not so much, when we look at the natal chart, it's not so much like who you are in this moment, it's who you have the potential to become. And that's what's really cool, because you can sit someone down in a reading, which is why I love doing them, and say, hey, look, this is where your strengths and weaknesses lie. This is where some of the challenges you might find in your life are. And this is what we can do to start to overcome them.
So you've done your natal chart,
I
haven't you,
did, and I think it was
Nicholas?
Christine
Yeah.
Broadbent was the astrologer who did mine,
Okay.
and it was really quite involved. And so that's what I'm Aries, Sun, Aries rising, and I'm a Cancer moon.
Wow.
Yes,
So that's very family
and I can really understand that too in my personality, because I'm a double Aries and I so am. I'm
Yeah.
out there, I'm impulsive.
She is.
I'm go, I'm high energy, but I've got that gooey Cancer moon, and I'm
Yeah.
sensitive, and the family thing. So I've got that side to me, which
Yeah,
is
you know
so
what? Did you have to
deep
know?
and real, and I feel things.
Did you have to know the
like-
time you were born?
Pretty much.
Because I'm one of 8, so no one had any idea.
That's the tricky thing,
Right.
isn't it?
It is.
Because
Yeah.
so for people who don't know the time
Yes.
of birth,
So I know
it's-
approximately, that's it.
Yeah, it's
So those that are listening have a scenario like me.
Yeah.
What is it?
Unfortunately,
Appropriate? Yeah.
I think everyone sort of over the age of 50 does struggle with time
Yes,
of birth because it
yes.
just wasn't recorded like it is.
So
It's
can you say,
amazing
oh,
that,
you
isn't
can't
it?
do a natal chart, or you can if you're roundabout? So I'm somewhere between 10 and midnight because the doctor came in a dinner
see-
suit. He was quite drunk when I was living in a country hospital.
That's where it all
This is
started
the
to
truth.
die.
And I was born, and my mother went, "Oh, this is my party daughter,"
Yeah.
and she wasn't far wrong from that. But yeah,
Look,
so
the-
what do you think?
No, basically is the short answer. The rising sign, which is the sign that was coming over the horizon, changes roughly every 2 hours. And if you are close to, so for example, my sister, if we changed her birth time by 2 minutes, her rising sign changes.
Wow,
Is that why
Yeah.
twins are so different sometimes too?
Oh,
Because
that's
one's,
great.
born.
That's a great one.
4 minutes after the other. Or
Well,
something.
Yeah.
interestingly
It's
enough,
interesting.
I've read for 3 sets of twins, they both had the exact same chart, even though they were born a few minutes planets apart. The rising, the moon, and the sun was still the same. Everything was still the same, but they were
Right.
totally different people,
Wow.
raised in the same environment. So what does that mean? I think that a lot of it comes down to the choices that you make and how you decide to express your chart, right? Just because it says one thing doesn't mean that's how you're exhibiting those qualities or choosing to step into the strengths and weaknesses in the chart.
Right, wow.
So when I was at school, to remember the stars, I remember it has the stuff you retain. My very eager maid just swept up 9 pins, and that was all the planets coming away from Earth.
That's a good one.
My
Isn't
very eager maid, this is your language,
Yeah.
just picked up Uranus 9
This is Pluto, Mercury.
pins.
This
Is that not random?
Yeah,
That is
wow,
random,
I
but
love
Isn't it?
great. I
Just
love
a-
it.
It's funny you
on
don't
memories.
forget stuff like that. It's like,
Yeah.
and
Did you
'cause
forget
I
what
love
you did last night?
Absolutely. Actually, we were quite good last night. It was the night
We
before.
actually did go out last night, didn't we?
We did. We had a ball last night.
Kick up the
Sang my
heels.
heart out.
We saw Bob
We
Geldof.
saw- yeah.
We want to give actually her a shout out
Yeah.
too. Is Oz Harvest,
Yeah.
Ronnie Khan,
Yeah, Ronnie
Feed the
Khan.
World, and for all our listeners too. Thank you for supporting and keep it going too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it had a lot
It was
lineup of
incredible.
Aussie artists, and it was a really
Oh,
cool night.
So
Yeah.
let's get into the
But let's get
juiciness.
into
I want to get to
juicy
the
stuff.
juiciness.
Oh, wait, I have one more
Yes,
thing I want to
please.
say about your natal chart.
Oh,
There
I
are
love that.
astrologers called
Keeping us in line.
Yeah,
I love
good.
it.
You need to.
I'll always come back to the point. Don't worry.
good.
I'm
Good
good at it.
girl.
It's a Gemini.
It actually is.
love
Yes.
that.
It is.
That's so good. You're in the wrong job.
There are astrologers called forensic astrologers, and they can sit down with you and have a conversation with you and learn about you. And if you've got a window of birth time, they can start to work out the likelihood of what your chart would be.
There's hope.
That
Di.
is not my
There's
specialty.
hope.
Yeah, I'm not
You're
lost
off to a
in a maze of children.
So it's a forensic
There's hope.
astrologer first.
Yeah.
So you
I
do
love
that,
that.
and then you go see Jordanna for the real deal.
But I still had the drunk doctor that delivered me.
Can you tell us a little bit about how it is, with your star signs? You were saying, Di's a Capricorn, I'm an Aries, you're
Yeah.
a Gemini and stuff too. Like with love and relationships, because everyone wants to know that. I think most people, when you read this thing, they're going, oh, am I going to fall in love? Or what's happening here? Or is it
Totally.
going to last forever? Or just tell us a bit more stuff about
Okay.
the
Juicy
real-
stuff
the
about
real
relationships and stars. We love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Look, there are ways that we can look at compatibility in
That's a
astrology.
great word, yeah.
So we can look at certain signs that you'd be more compatible with than other signs. But again, it's not as simple as just looking at your sun sign. Your sun sign's your sense of identity, right?
Yeah.
But your
Oh, that's a good
moon
one.
sign,
Good to hear this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sense of identity, it resonates with
your
me. yeah.
moon sign's your emotional self. And your Mercury sign is how you communicate.
Right on the
And your
down.
Venus sign is what you're attracted to
The
and your
love.
values. And your Mars sign is what you desire and your drive and determination. So all of those have to be factored in when we're looking at relationships, right?
Wow. That's
Which
so
is-
important. It's great to hear that. Because you
Yeah.
basically hear the three, don't you?
Yeah,
like that.
sun, moon, rising.
Yeah, sun,
And they are
moon,
important.
and rising.
Yeah, we call
Right.
them the primal triad. They're like the core of who you are. So your sun's your identity, your moon's your emotional self, and the rising sign is how you present to the world. So it's often how people see you. So Di, I would be so interested to know what your rising is because you do not come across as a Capricorn
No,
at
isn't she
all.
gorgeous?
I've always thought that myself
Yeah.
too. And I've
Well,
known
I've got
her
an
so well.
Aries apparently.
Okay. Rising?
Something up there.
Yeah,
Gazelle-y.
maybe.
Who told you that, Di? I think it's because Di hangs out with, it's funny, so many Aries people.
Oh,
Like, Di-
right.
so
Oh, my
different,
God,
yeah,
it's
she's
ridiculous.
into Aries.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you've got fire in you
Yes.
somewhere,
Yeah,
whether
'cause
it's
I'm Earth,
Leo
aren't I? Yeah.
or Sagittarius or Aries.
I
for
love
sure.
Sagittarians.
Do
I and
you?
even my son's a Sagio.
Right.
I've got an
I struggle
Aquarian
with them
and
a little bit.
Do you?
Yeah,
Wow.
I love them. I mean,
Yeah.
my brother's a Sagittarius and
Yeah.
my stepmom's a Sagittarius, but they are the sign that I just don't know if I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
They're a bit out there, but I love
Yeah.
I love where
But
I love a bit left
Isn't
of
it
centre.
the first question a bit with dating too? People sort of do want to know a little bit about like what star sign you are, and it could be a little bit when you're saying you mightn't take it all too seriously, but just sometimes
Right.
you get a bit of a gauge.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
so.
yeah.
And
I
I-
really believe that in my heart.
I think one of the helpful things for people to do probably is look at the elements more than the specific signs
Okay, tell us
themselves.
about the elements
Yes.
because
Yeah,
that was one of my
let's go
questions.
through it.
Are the air, water, and
Fire
my
and
eager
earth.
maid just swept up up. No, sorry. I'm consumed with that. Okay. Fire, water, and air.
And earth.
And earth. That's me.
Yeah,
course.
that's you.
Don't forget about yourself, Guy.
Okay.
The 12
Feeling
signs.
naughty girl this morning.
The 12 signs can be
fire.
divided into the 4 elements. So
Yeah.
there's 3 signs per element. And each element comes with its own overarching qualities and traits. So the water signs are very emotional, and the earth signs.
Our producer's going, wow.
Oh, that's my favorite sign.
Oh,
It is.
wow.
No, I think
Seriously.
Scorpios are very deep, very complex,
Yes.
very honest, very, very honest. And I think the word I used to describe Scorpio a lot is penetrative. It's like,
Oh, that
this-
sounds
And they're very
juicy.
Doesn't
sexual
it?
too,
Say,
aren't
we did say juicy, didn't we? Oh my
But
gosh.
they have this ability to read people and understand the psychology of people and see into somebody's soul. And a lot of people don't like that.
And she's a life coach.
there
Go
you go.
figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the
I
difference
love
between men and women, like male? You know, like say you're saying a Scorpio, so with Sam we're talking about, and then, you know, like my father was a Scorpio, my brother's a Scorpio, my first husband, only husband actually, was a Scorpio. I'm surrounded by them.
Scorpio men are trickier, I think.
Trickier.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. They've got the stick.
Purely because Scorpios can be very, very private, and men are great at keeping secrets.
Funny about
I don't
that,
think
yeah.
that's a generalization. I feel like that's okay to say, right? They're better at keeping secrets than women. Look, I do think we'll go back to elements,
Yeah.
but I do
See,
think
she's
that
keeping us in
Good.
check. I love
men
it.
and women do express the signs differently. But I also think, and this is probably a whole other discussion, I do think for a lot of water sign men's, the patriarchy has not let them lean into their emotional self from the age of 0. And so
Isn't it
it's
great that that's
underdeveloped.
changing? It's fabulous.
Well,
Rapidly.
let's see.
It is.
After this
It is
week.
changing. I see it in my sons different from, my
Yeah.
husband's. I just
Yeah, we got to raise
So that's
our
the
water
water, but
boys.
that's
Yeah.
Cancer, Pisces,
Yeah.
Scorpio for all the listeners
Yes.
there. Now, what
Yes.
about air? Tell
Air.
us about that.
Okay, so where the waters are quite emotional, they're very into the feeling sense, they're highly sensitive, so they're intuitive. The air signs are very cerebral, right? So they're very intellectual. They look at things through the lens of logic and reason. They're hungry for information and data and facts. And so the air signs will always look at, the information that's at hand, right? Where the water signs are like, but how do I feel about this? What are my feelings?
It's interesting, isn't it?
Cancer,
Wow.
Pisces,
My
Scorpio.
daughter's
Yeah.
Wow.
So the air signs are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. They're great conversationalists. They're great
Same as,
communicators.
Gabrielle and
Yeah, and
Ryan.
my son Harrison is a Cancer.
Yeah.
And he's just a divine.
And they're
Cancer.
quite social as well
Yes,
because
he
they're
was
about
spot on.
networking, right? Earth signs, we're
Yes.
looking at Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn.
Yes, which I'm
They're
not, apparently.
very practical and down
Yes.
to earth. They're all about the tangible, the physical, the things they can touch and move around. So they're very much about the physical body. They love structure. They love routine. They love methodology. Anything where they can sort of organize and structure.
I find that very much a Virgo. All my Virgo
Yeah.
friends are so organised and they're neat and they're particular.
Very
in
neat.
that. I'm an Aries.
When
throw
Nicola and
everything
I
everywhere,
are, like my way I grew up with my house, Mum would say my house is always clean, never exactly tidy with 8
Right.
kids. And that's how I grew and that's my house. It's
Yeah.
never 100% tidy, but it's always clean. And I'm comfortable in that. If it's too structured, I can't cope.
Yeah.
It's
See,
weird.
I'm a Virgo moon.
Right.
But I've got a Gemini sun and a Gemini rising.
Oh, you're double Gemini too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So what that
That's
means
huge.
for us
Did you
is
tell me?
that the
Yeah.
sun was coming over the horizon at the time of our birth. So you
Okay.
must have been born in the morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh,
yeah,
there you go.
yes,
At sunrise.
yes.
That's what it means when your sun and your rising are the same.
Okay.
But because
She's an early riser and I like to stay up late.
Yeah.
So
That's got something to do with it
Oh,
too.
there you
and
go.
I love, and I
Ooh,
feel best in the morning.
I love this.
I wake up full of beans.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's
like
same.
I just go,
Same.
the
I'm going,
battery's
oh,
on.
it's a bit loud.
No, I'm tired. And I go, oh my God.
She's on fire, literally. Like,
Yeah.
So speaking of, who have we left out?
fire.
Fire, baby.
Yeah.
Aries, Leo, and
Aries,
Sagittarius.
woo.
Yeah. So fire
So, yeah,
signs
yep.
are action oriented. They want to get up and do it.
Really?
They go after
Whoa.
what they
That's
want.
true.
They're
Yep.
the initiators.
Yep.
They're
Right.
the
Let's
do it.
pioneers. They're the
100%.
warriors. They want to be out there fighting for it.
Yeah,
right?
let's
If they
go.
want it, they're going to go and get it.
So What's the reality of, let me check out this guy's star sign and look up his star sign.
Yeah, okay. So
versus,
look, when we can do that, sure.
yeah. Like I was married to a Terrain for a long time.
Okay.
Earth.
Yeah.
With Earth being
Earth,
Capricorn.
yeah, you're attracted to yourself.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah,
that's
no,
the truth.
yeah.
That's the truth.
It's really
so
interesting.
what I say to people is, if you want to use astrology for relationships, use it to understand yourself and what you need and what you require and what you like in relationships. If you can understand yourself in relationships, then you're going to attract the right person. It doesn't matter what their signs are, right? So as a Virgo moon, I like safety and I like consistency in a partner, which is just like the most unsexiest thing to say.
No.
But it's what I require, right? Because of my Gemini placements, I also like fun and spontaneity, and they have to be a good communicator. That is a non-negotiable for me. Does that mean I need a Gemini and a Virgo? No, they probably drive me insane, right? But I do probably need some air in his chart so that he has the intellectual
Oh my God,
capacity
imagine meeting you
to
in a
keep up
bar.
with me.
Now, let me just say,
What was
what's
the
your
time of your
element?
birth? Ask your mother.
I'm not sure about the elements of the air and the thing.
I don't ask
Could you
on a
line
date.
up those drinks? They're not straight. You know what I mean? Like, so cool. I love it.
No, I won't look at a guy's natal chart. They do
Yeah.
beg me to look at it,
I
but
bet.
I don't want to know.
I don't blame
because
you.
I've been in
It's safer.
relationships with people who have a highly compatible chart. There's a thing we do called a synastry chart, where you put your two charts together and you see how your planets interact with each other. I dated a guy for quite a while. We had the perfect chart and it didn't work. Of course it didn't work.
And do you think it is too?
That's
Some
amazing.
things are, you're really compatible and it was really good, and that season just ends.
I do.
Is there something like that as well? And that's to do,
Absolutely.
because I think everything's
It's
to do
organic.
with it is organic, and we are affected whether people go, oh, this is a load of rubbish, or this
Yeah.
is fantastic, or whatever. But I think we're all human beings on planet Earth, and the
Yeah.
sun's shining, affecting us all. The rain is the moon, the whole thing. We're all
Totally.
affected by things.
And
It's
also,
like-
we all have our own lives and our own problems and our own traumas
Stories.
and our own wounds and our own stories.
Yeah, everyone's
And
different.
Some people are not living out their chart to their potential, and that's not their fault, right? And maybe once they have the awareness of it, they could. But you're dating the person in the moment. You're not dating their natal chart. That's what I keep reminding
Look,
myself.
this
that's so
book,
good.
That's
I
where the
love
book's
that.
great. All signs point to you. You go into detail about the various star signs.
Yeah.
I do want to make a note that we've had a company for 30 years, and I used to always interview people. These days, you can't say boo in an interview. You go, what's your name? Can't say your age.
Oh, you mean like for a job interview?
Yeah. And I used to always just very chilled and relaxed. I love people. I love people. That's my gift. I just love people. And I'd sit there and go, first question, what's your star sign?
Right.
Some people were like, yay. Well, some are like, but you know what? I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
It never failed me.
Good.
Now, that's a sun sign, right?
Yeah.
It never failed me.
So wait, were you judging them on what they said?
I was
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
and then
Yeah.
then they'd all discuss my go. No, you can't have them because they're such and such a star sign. They'd all go, oh my God, she's losing it. And I'm like, no, in this particular industry, those star signs work. And funnily enough, I'm not selling tickets on me. I just think star signs, I think, are really a vital part of who and what we are.
Yeah.
I mean, having said that, how long have people been following star signs?
Oh,
Astrology.
Good
Centuries and
question.
centuries. In the 16th century, astronomers and astrologers parted ways. They used to be on the same page, right? And then astronomers figured out that there was some science that didn't match up with the theories of astrology. And that's when they were in two separate camps. But before then, before the 16th century, so we're going way, 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 way back to Greek mythology. This is when all of this sort of started
amazing,
coming.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I mean, so it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And really, it's like, I think when people start to, this is kind of the argument I was giving in the book, is like, you don't even really need to believe in it. The wisdom and the teaching that we get from the signs is a tool for personal development, regardless whether you believe
I love
that
that
the
so
stars
much.
are
I
lining
think
and
that
the
is
planets
so
are lining.
good. I really, really love that.
Yeah.
And I and a lot of takeaways from this book too. And it's one of the ones I find that you can sort of pick it up and then put it back again and go, I want to read this. It's one of
True.
those
And
sort
that's
of
how
like,
I wrote it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Well done.
Because the idea is, we all have our natal charts, we all have our signs, but
Well,
also
some
the
do.
sun is moving through one sign each month. So like I said before, we're in Scorpio season at the moment. So we're all being affected by Scorpio energy. So understanding how you can best utilize the lessons of Scorpio this month is really helpful for everyone, whether you're a Scorpio or not.
Yeah, that's what's so good. It's a real personal development book. And
Sam, you've been
we
an
always
influence
go,
on us.
we're students of life.
Yeah.
And you're always learning forever. So to me, it's just fascinating. And I mean, you must love what you do because it's just an endless
What do you say?
thing. Do what you love what you do.
I love
it's
that
my favourite
line.
quote.
Yeah.
And you can sort of see that. But to me, it was a real thing of going, wow, like anything, I think the older I get, and happy birthday to you, by the way, because you turned 40 and you did a podcast on your life lessons, which I thought was good.
Yeah.
I turned 60, and I think sort of like, the longer that I live on planet Earth too, is it's all the work that you do within yourself.
Absolutely.
You look at yourself, well, why didn't that work out? Well, hang on, self-reflection here.
Yeah.
Or what did I learn from that? What gifts. So and this is sort of your book there is it's a self-reflection thing of growth, which is fantastic.
And we can do it monthly, basically, is what the book's saying. Yeah.
It's funny, we all look at
Well done,
astrology
you.
in terms of predictions and horoscopes, and yet ultimately it can teach you about your emotional self. And I think that coming back to what you were just saying, like I've always distanced those two, but you amalgamated them, and I've thought about astrology very differently when I read this book.
Oh, that's so good.
Something that's always amazed me, and Nicola knows I'm always amazed by this, is people are born on the cusp.
Oh, yeah, that's fascinated you, isn't it?
I don't believe in cusps.
Oh, okay.
But
Hit
let
me
me
with
tell
it.
you why
Yeah.
people probably resonate.
For those that don't
with
know
it.
what that is, can you explain it?
So the way that astrology works is we have like date brackets for when the sun would be moving through that sign, which gives you your sun sign of Capricorn, Aries, Scorpio. Some people who were born right at the edge of that date bracket, so let's say if you were born on October 23rd, 1 year the sun could have been in Libra that year, but another year it could have been in Scorpio, right? Just the way that the sun moves throughout a calendar year, it will change year to year. And also we've got leap years, right? So there's extra days some years. So a cusper is someone who could have been a Libra, but they were born a Scorpio. Or the other way around, could have been a Scorpio but were born a Libra because of the dates that particular year. Now, a lot of people argue, but, it says I'm a Libra sun, but I really resonate with Scorpio. And that's because I'm a cusper. I'm going to argue it and say, no, that's not the reason. Your sun sign is your sun sign. But it's very likely that you have other planets in that other sign that you're resonating with because a lot of the planets move so closely together. So Mercury and Venus are always sort of near the sun, and the moon could have been moving through that sign as well at the time.
Well, there you go,
That's
Diane.
fascinating.
That is really
A
interesting
cusper.
too.
A cusper. Look, other
Not
astrologers
Casper
will
the ghost,
disagree
it's a
with
cusper.
me.
Yeah.
I got it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that is contentious between astrologers.
Yeah. I still want juiciness from relationships.
Oh,
Are we
well,
going to
ask
look
me
them
more.
up or
Let's
not?
look.
Yes.
Okay,
Like
so
if I meet a guy
we're
tomorrow, am I going to
single.
look his stars? Exactly.
Okay, let me tell you this.
Sorry to can't keep bringing you back that way.
You
because
can.
I've done it forever, and
Love is in the air.
if someone listening,
Food
like,
for love.
I've met someone and he's a whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
sure. Like,
is it relative, or you're
What-
just
what-
going
What's for Di? Like,
Yeah.
What would you
Oh,
say?
yeah.
Let's do a little prediction.
Yeah.
well,
That's a
hang on.
goodie.
Let me answer that question first.
Love
So,
it, yeah.
yes, we can do that as long as you're using the information responsibly, right?
Yeah.
So you can look up someone's sun sign
Yeah.
to be like, okay, this is who this person is. This is where their strengths might lie, or these are where some of their shadow qualities might be. Am I going to judge them on that? No, but I could witness it and notice whether they're leaning into the aggressive, impulsive side of Aries or the leadership, initiating, courageous, confident sign of Aries, right? So we could use it in that capacity. If you go a little bit deeper, I think knowing someone's moon sign is most important because that's how we tell what they need for emotional security, right? I personally struggle, no offense to anyone listening, I struggle with Capricorn moons. Even though I have an earth moon too, Capricorn moons can be quite void of emotion at times, or they just would rather deal with other things like work than their feelings. I
that's
find that really
interesting.
challenging. Do I judge someone when I
No.
first meet them if they have a
I'm not
Capricorn
going to judge.
moon? No.
I just want to know if that star sign will be compatible with.
But if
me,
I
for
meet
example.
someone with a Cancer moon,
Yes.
I go, okay, this person needs emotional connection.
Yeah.
So when I'm all up in my head trying to analyze something, they just want me to feel it, right? And so you can understand how to relate on that level. Yeah, so it's useful,
Yeah.
but we can't use it for judgment.
So you're not going to
just to know how
totally
to navigate.
disregard it.
No.
It's like if I go meet someone tomorrow and they're whatever they are, I don't want to judge, but to say for argument's sake,
What's been a fun
it's
for
relative.
Di?
What's more helpful for you,
Yeah.
Di, is if we figure out what your moon sign is, you could say to yourself, okay, if I understand my moon sign and what I need for emotional security, then I can communicate those needs to the person I'm dating or I'm in relationship with.
I love how she brings it back to emotion. I love that.
Yeah, so for me, with a Virgo moon, like I said before, I need consistency and safety. So I communicate that to partners. I'm like, I need you to be the same person you were yesterday, today. And not in terms of personal growth, but in terms of how you show up, how you communicate, how you text, how you plan, all of those sorts of things.
And I love it because, tell me if you don't mind, because I love you're saying your podcast too, and you sort of said you've dated a few people, which is really good. I think that's a really healthy thing.
I did count them the other day.
Yeah.
How many?
How's the love life
Come on.
going for you?
How?
It's
No, go
where are
back
we
to
at?
the count. How many?
Well, no,
Come on. You just
can
said
do
you
that.
just count them.
Okay, so in the last
Yeah.
5 years,
Yeah.
since I moved to Byron
Yep.
Bay,
Yeah.
which
Uh-huh.
we were talking about
Yes,
before
before.
I hopped
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
It's good
this
to actually say
podcast,
that too.
I had dated 31 men, which
Go you.
averages 6 men a year.
Yeah.
I love
Roughly.
Every
this.
2 months, yeah.
And
Yeah.
surprisingly,
good.
have had relationships in the middle of that.
Go girl.
This is
but-
great.
I know.
Shutting up.
I
to them.
know.
I just want to say before anyone
Yes,
makes
yeah.
judgment against me, I've
their problem.
I've learned a lot about what I need emotionally, what I won't stand for, what my boundaries are. And I have to say, I have exhibited so many healthy relationship patterns while dating and haven't yet found someone who has the same emotional, healthy relationship patterns. And I think I was actually on a podcast yesterday, which was a dating podcast. And I really think we need to start measuring the success of dating, more looking at, am I happy, confident, emotionally secure as a single woman who's out there trying to find a match? Or did I settle? Am I in an unhappy, toxic relationship that isn't really going anywhere?
So you're taking that same baggage to the next relationship, to the next
Right.
relationship.
I think that's a
So,
great thing
yeah.
to celebrate. So with compatibility, because that's sort of a bit what it's about, and that's a big generalisation, we know, but we're
Right.
sort of saying, what about for Di? The compatibility, would you say for Di, and what about for Nicoletta?
For Di, it's hard because we don't have confirmation of your sun and rising.
Right.
But I would say someone who has a little bit of earth in their chart somewhere, it doesn't have to be their sun sign, is going to be healthy for your Capricorn. Right?
Right.
I'd say your Capricorn comes through. I don't know a lot about you, Di, but
Yeah.
Capricorns are very hardworking. They're very ambitious. They're all about respect and leaving a legacy and doing work in the world, right? And so someone who has the same work ethic is probably a really good match for you.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we're thinking there's fire in there somewhere. There's got to be fire in there.
Oh, juicy.
So I would say someone who has a bit of fire too,
Oh, I love
who's
that. Let me
quite
look them up
outgoing
again.
and
go.
extroverted.
Well, I know it's Aries, but
I
there's...
think Leo would be great for you.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever
Yeah.
dated a Leo?
I can see you with a Leo. I
Wow,
can see you with
that's
a lion
interesting.
roaring. Rawr.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Okay.
Nicola Wicker.
For Nicola, look, I think someone who has some water is
Oh,
good.
it's water here.
Good.
Checking
Water again,
water.
getting
Here
my
we're
homework.
checking water.
But let me tell you why. The reason I say that is because of your Cancer moon, right? And it's really helpful when someone can meet you on an emotional level, right, in
Yes,
relationships.
absolutely.
So there's a lot of data out there that says if you can match your moon sign with someone's sun sign, that's good compatibility.
There you go.
Let's
There's a
remember
tip.
that.
You've
But-
heard that on Over the Back Fence.
I would be a
Jordanna.
little
I'm writing
bit
it all
looser with
down.
it and say try and match the element instead. So if you have a water moon, a water sun, or a water rising is good for you. If you have earth, try and match it that way.
Can we be
Yeah.
a bit cheeky? Because I know you
juicy.
said you'd been on 31 dates. Was there a standout
More.
star sign
Yeah, for sure.
With
Like
your
over the years,
So what was your right? You're a Gemini with a
Gemini with a Virgo moon. So double Gemini.
Wow.
I know,
Wow.
it's a nightmare.
I don't think I've ever met a double Gemini. So what's your match?
So I think for me, what I've been attracted to, if I look at my relationship history, let's not look at the last 5 years of dating. If I look at my long-term relationships, they've all been earth signs, right? They've all been Taurians. And that goes with what I just said. You know, I've got an earth moon and I'm attracted to that stability and that safety and the security of an earth.
Every one of the listeners here, this is
Amazing.
absolutely fascinating stuff.
What I've realised though, getting older now, when I am advocating for myself and my needs and what I want as a very good communicator, is I actually need air. I need someone who can meet me intellectually and on a communicative level.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, we want to know, we'll go
Yes,
back to
we
Sam,
want to
to
hear predictions
2025.
for 25.
I know it's a bit of a generalisation, Jordanna, but let our listeners know what we
Took a
sort of think
deep
you're
breath
saying.
then. That's not good.
Is the world going to be a bit more crazy and unstable?
No
or
more
is it going to
cray-cray,
be-
is it?
Yeah, it is. Look, here's the thing with astrology. When we look at a forecast for the year ahead, we could look on like a really, really micro level, start looking at all of the different planetary transits that take place. But that is painstaking and some of them move quite fast. What we're really looking at that will impact all of us collectively and long term is when major planets, so the outer planets, which are Jupiter,
My
Saturn,
very eager maid just swept up.
Uranus, Neptune and Pluto, when they change signs, which doesn't happen very often because they're quite slow-moving planets, right? Where the sun moves through a sign throughout the month, the major planets like Jupiter will change signs once a year, Saturn every 18 months, Uranus 7 years, Neptune 10, I think, maybe even more, and Pluto 20 years, 16 to 20 years before it changes sign. This year...
I just glazed over then. Is that shocking?
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
I'm getting to the point.
Not because of you, just sometimes the stars I get a bit...
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I know that.
Yeah. That's
But
why this book's great because it's
this
simple.
is the bit of information you need.
Juicy.
4 of those planets are changing signs next year.
Oh, that's huge.
So
that's
that
massive.
is huge.
Okay, so
Hey,
I've got
buckle
reasoning.
up, listeners.
It's not the politics and
You,
economics.
Nicola, are
it's
actually
just
in
bloody
for
star sign.
quite the year as an area.
Oh no! What have you really been...
Challenging year.
I had enough challenge. This year was a challenging first 6 months, and I've just got over it. So
What's Capricorn next year?
Actually, you're also in for a challenging year.
wow.
But look,
Give us the good
it's
news.
fine.
So the whole world's in for a challenge.
the whole
Who's having a
world-
bloody good year?
Let me tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
No one.
Buckle up. Gee.
So Neptune, which is the planet of illusion and our ideals, our spirituality, but also deception, is changing from Pisces into Aries, right? Saturn is also changing into Aries in 2025. Now, Aries is the warrior sign. It very much says to me, with both Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries, that there's going to be a lot of conflict on a collective level worldwide. There's a lot of angry, aggressive, impulsive energy coming in, a lot of conflict. It could be a good thing long term if we all individually start taking action and accountability, right? But it really is a year of waking us up. We've been in a little bit of a daze, a little bit of a sleepy stage.
Post-COVID, possibly, yeah.
I think mine came 1 year earlier.
Right.
I do.
I think a lot of this
So my areas, I jump ahead.
is going to be felt globally around what's going on with some of the bigger countries in the world and how that's going to affect us collectively. We've also got Pluto moving into Aquarius. It's been back and forth. It moves actually in a couple of weeks. In November, it'll move into Aquarius. This is going to be...
Age of Aquarius.
Yes, it is
Age
though.
of Aquarius.
So we don't have an exact date for the age of Aquarius, but many astrologers are saying Pluto's move into Aquarius is the age of Aquarius, right?
Oh, so that's a good thing, though. God.
Eventually
Trying to find the
it's a
positive.
good
But
thing.
they say, I guess, through
Okay.
every turmoil, everything like that, is it like the crack, the
We
light
are going
that comes
to
through?
have... So Pluto's the planet of transformation. It's the death and rebirth cycle. It's the phoenix rising from the
I love
ashes
that
moment,
one.
right? So Pluto moving in Aquarius is looking at restructuring systems that have been there forever. So with the combination of Aries and Neptune and Saturn moving there, I think there's going to be a lot of changes in government, which we've already seen, but changes to, in the US especially, to the Constitution, lasting changes to the Constitution. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens over here in Australia as well. Is that good? Is that bad? I can't say, but there's a lot of change afoot.
Well, so guys,
we're just more compassion, I think we're needing in the world.
And buck up. Now, what we're going to do
collectively.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And we've just interviewed an amazing woman, Kristen Neff, about self-compassion and how that emulates throughout the world.
So, guys, that's a good tip, self-compassion through this.
Yeah.
So, buckle up for this year. But we've got a couple of our signature questions for
yes,
you,
we do.
Jordanna. If you could share a back fence with anybody on planet Earth, who would it be and why?
And what star sign would that be?
Today, this morning, I would say Dolly Alderton. I saw her at the Opera House last night.
Did you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Tell our listeners who Dolly is.
So Dolly Alderton's a UK journalist, writer, author. She was the co-host of The High Low.
Yes.
Did you guys ever listen to The High Low?
Yeah, bits of it, yes.
Yeah, loved it. I just admire her so much. And she was so funny last night. And she's such a good storyteller. And she just entertained the audience. The host was Hannah Ferguson. Do you know Hannah Ferguson from Cheek Media? Yeah, and it was just...
She's fun.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. And I think sharing a back fence with her would be incredible.
Okay.
She's such a
Next
hoot.
question is, what makes you happy?
Oh, it's a really good question.
You can think about it.
Oh, okay. Like, for how long?
I'll do the.
She wants to sing a song
exactly.
in between.
Nicola's nailed it. What was the one? When the moon is in the seventh hour. You tell me when you're ready. And Jupiter.
I'm so distracted by you singing.
Mars. What makes you happy?
What makes
you can
me
tell
happy?
singing makes me happy.
Yeah, look, I think it's such an interesting question because I do ask myself a lot, like, Jordan, at what point do you reach the happiness that you're searching for? I think for me, a lot of it comes down to self-awareness. When I'm self-aware and I reflect and I look at things through the lens of what was the lesson here, I can draw happiness from that.
I draw that.
You're talking our language.
You are so talking our language.
That was beautifully put.
Absolutely.
I think for so much of my life, I put happiness on something external, trying to attach it to something I achieved or something someone made me happy or this handbag or that piece of clothing. And I've realized that it really is an internal thing and it can only be crafted by reflecting on the experiences I'm having and how I choose to show up to them.
Oh, wow.
Do you know what? I don't do this often, but
I tell you, we're giving you a clap because
I thought that was
you've expressed that so well, and I guess that's sort of what we're all about. And I just think that's such a really beautiful thing too. It's that sort of self-awareness and self-reflection there. So you have just been a joy, and honestly, we've just touched the surface of this planetary, universal.
I've loved it. I've really enjoyed this.
I've loved it.
I hope
just
the
want to speak
listeners
to you.
enjoyed as much as we did.
So, let us know, listeners, too. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah.
It's just been fantastic.
Down from Byron Bay.
Exactly, yeah. So all our listeners, don't forget to rate and review. Please share it and tell us your star sign too. And Didi, we always like, if the listeners can give us some high ratings. What do you think for Jordanna?
Definitely 9 out of 5 because my very eager mate just swept up 9 things.
All the planets. And up times by infinity. That was just so
It's
great.
brilliant. Thanks, Jordanna.
It's like a limitless conversation.
Loved
Honestly,
it.
it's just we've just touched the surface. So
Oh, thank you.
Take care.
So much.
Bye.